Okay, let's unpack this. I want you to picture a scenario.
Right.
You have two engineers. They get hired at the same massive tech firm, same day. Engineer A is a genius. I mean, top of the class, PhD, knows the code inside and out, a walking encyclopedia.
The technical wizard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you have engineer B. They're, competent. They know the basics, sure, but they aren't going to win any Nobel Prizes for coding.
Okay.
But engineer B can walk into a room and the energy just changes. They can get a tired team fired up. They can diffuse a heated argument with, just a smile. So fast forward 10 years, who's running the division? Who's making the real money?
Well, if you look at the actual data, the answer is overwhelmingly engineer B.
It feels completely counterintuitive, right? We spend years in school just drilling facts and formulas and technical skills. But there's this staggering statistic from the Carnegie Foundation that really sets the stage for our deep dive today.
It really does.
They did a massive study on financial success in technical fields engineering, architecture, the hard sciences, and they found that only about 15% of a person's financial success is due to their technical knowledge.
Only 15%.
Yeah.
Which leaves this massive 85% chunk.
85%.
And that whole chunk comes from what they call human engineering, personality, leadership, the ability to arouse enthusiasm in people.
That is a massive blind spot in how we usually think about careers. We obsess over the 15% and just, ignore the rest.
Utterly.
And that brings us to the source material for today. We are going back to the absolute grandfather of self-improvement, the book that literally launched the genre. We're talking about Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
It's a classic for a reason. It was published in, 1936?
Yeah, 1936.
And yet when you read through the notes, it feels like it could have been written this morning. But I think it's important to clarify what this book actually is.
Right, because I think a lot of people hear that title, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and they kind of cringe a little.
It sounds manipulative.
It does, or they think it's just a guide on, manners, hold the door open, say please.
Exactly. But the research behind it is so much grittier. You have to remember the context.
Yeah.
Carnegie didn't write this to be a guru. He wrote it because he was teaching these public speaking courses to adults in New York, businessmen, engineers.
People who were probably technically brilliant, but
socially crippled. They were terrified of social interaction. And when he went to find a practical textbook on human relations for him, it just didn't exist.
So he wrote it himself, and he didn't just sit in an armchair and write down platitudes. He treated it like a massive research project.
He really did. I mean, he read everything, psychology, philosophy, biography, but then he went further. He interviewed the titans of his day, people like Marconi, Edison, FDR. He even hired researchers to spend a year and a half just digging through the biographies of leaders like Julius Caesar and Abraham Lincoln. He was trying to reverse engineer charisma.
So that's what we're doing. We're taking that massive body of research and boiling it down. We're going to focus on the core, the 3 fundamental techniques in handling people, and the first big rule for making people like you.
And we're going to do it with the stories. The stories are the best part. They really anchor the psychology and reality.
Let's jump in. First principle. And this one, honestly, this one is the hardest to swallow. It goes against every single instinct we have when things go wrong. It's about criticism. And to understand why it fails, Carnegie takes us to a siege in New York City, 1931, the story of Two Gun Crowley.
Oh, this is a fascinating case study in self-perception.
So picture this. Two Gun Crowley is a cop killer, a stone-cold murderer.
Yeah.
He's trapped in his girlfriend's apartment. There are 150 police officers outside. They're cutting holes in the roof to drop tear gas. Machine guns are set up on nearby buildings. I mean, it is a war zone.
And while all this is happening,
while the bullets are flying, Crowley sits down to write a letter.
Now, you'd expect a confession, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe some manifesto of hate.
Exactly. But listen to what he wrote. And keep in mind, he's bleeding while he writes this. Blood is dripping on the paper, he writes. Under my coat is a weary heart, but a kind one that would do nobody any harm.
A kind heart. This is a man who, just days before, a policeman walks up to his car, asks to see his license.
Just a routine stop.
And Crowley pulls a gun and shoots him dead. Then gets out, takes the officer's own gun and shoots him again.
Brutal.
But in his own mind, he wasn't a criminal. He was defending himself. And this isn't unique. Carnegie points out Al Capone, public enemy number 1, said almost the same thing.
What did he say?
Capone said, "I've spent the best years of my life giving people the lighter pleasures, and all I get is abuse." He saw himself as a public benefactor.
That is a staggering level of cognitive dissonance.
And that is the crucial insight. If these hardened criminals, men who have clearly broken every rule, don't blame themselves,
Yeah.
what makes you think the average person you work with is going to accept your criticism?
Right. If a murderer can justify his actions, my coworker is definitely going to justify why that report was late.
Precisely. It's human nature. B.F. Skinner proved this in the lab. An animal that's rewarded for good behavior learns way faster than an animal punished for bad behavior. Criticism doesn't change anything.
It just forces them onto the defensive.
It wounds their pride. It arouses resentment. It's a boomerang. You throw it out to relieve your own frustration, and it comes right back and hits you in the face.
Carnegie uses a really powerful example of someone who learned this the hard way. Abraham Lincoln. We think of him as this patient, gentle guy, but apparently as a young man, he was pretty vicious.
Oh, he was. In his youth, he used to write these mocking letters and poems about people and just leave them on roads where they'd be found.
Oh, wow.
He once ridiculed a politician so badly in a newspaper that the guy challenged him to a duel.
A duel, like with pistols.
Cavalry broadswords, actually. Lincoln didn't want to do it, but he had to save his honor. They actually met on a sandbar in the Mississippi River, ready to fight to the death, before their seconds jumped in and stopped it.
That is terrifying.
It terrified Lincoln. It shook him to his core, and he realized that the momentary satisfaction just wasn't worth the cost. It changed him forever.
But the real test came later, right, during the Civil War.
Yes, the Battle of Gettysburg. This is the moment. Lee is retreating. The Potomac River is flooded. He's trapped. Lincoln sees the end of the war right there. He orders General Meade to attack immediately. End the war right now, he basically says.
And what does Meade do?
He hesitates. He calls a council of war. He delays. The water recedes. Lee escapes.
Lincoln must have been furious.
Furious, he cried out to his son, "Great God, what does this mean?" He was so angry he sat down and wrote this blistering letter to Meade. We have the text. It says, "Your golden opportunity is gone, and I am distressed immeasurably because of it."
Ouch. So what did Meade say back?
Nothing. Because Lincoln never sent the letter.
He never sent it.
They found it in his papers after he died.
Whoa. So why write it if you're not going to send it?
Because Lincoln stopped. And he put himself in Meade's shoes. He realized, it's easy for me to sit here in the quiet White House and order an attack. But if I had seen the blood at Gettysburg, if I'd heard the screams of the dying, maybe I wouldn't be so eager either.
That's profound empathy.
He knew sending the letter would relieve his own feelings, sure, but it would crush Meade. It would create resentment, maybe even force a good general to resign. So he swallowed his criticism.
So principle number 1 is pretty clear, even if it's incredibly hard to do in the heat of the moment.
Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. It's futile.
Okay, so if we aren't criticizing, what should we be doing? That brings us to our next point. And this taps into what Carnegie calls a gnawing hunger.
Right. We all know the biological needs: food, sleep. But there's one longing that's almost as deep, but it's rarely satisfied. The philosopher John Dewey called it the desire to be important. Freud called it the desire to be great.
The desire to be important. When you look at the world through that lens, it explains a lot of weird human behavior.
It explains almost everything that doesn't make sense biologically. Why do people buy houses that are way too big for them? Why wear the latest fashions? Why do people brag about their brilliant kids? It's the thing that separates us from animals.
There's a really tragic story in the source material about how far this need can go. People literally making themselves sick for it.
Yes. Carnegie mentions cases where people turn to invalidism just to get attention. There's a story of a woman who was bedridden for years. Her mother took care of her, nursed her. The daughter was the center of her world. Then the mother died.
Right.
And suddenly, the invalid daughter got up, got dressed, and resumed living. She had manufactured an illness because it was the only way she felt important.
That is heavy. But let's flip it to the business world. How do you use this craving for importance to get results?
Enter Charles Schwab.
I love this guy's story. First man to earn $1 million a year in the steel business.
And we're talking early 20th century. That's tens of millions today. And here's the kicker. Schwab admitted he didn't know that much about steel.
So why was Andrew Carnegie paying him a fortune?
For his ability to handle people. Schwab said his secret weapon was his ability to arouse enthusiasm. He said, "There is nothing else that so kills the ambitions of a person as criticisms from superiors."
Wow.
His policy was to be hearty in his approbation and lavish in his praise.
I like that. Hearty in approbation and lavish in praise. But, I can hear a listener thinking, okay, so I just go around telling everyone they're great. Isn't that just flattery?
That is a crucial distinction. The source makes this very clear. Flattery is cheap. It's selfish. You're saying it just to get what you want. It comes with the teeth out.
Right.
Appreciation comes from the heart out. It has to be sincere.
People can smell flattery a mile away.
They can. It feels gross.
Brr.
But honest appreciation, that changes lives. It feeds that hunger we talked about.
There's this great relatable story in the notes about a marriage. The 6 Roses story. I think this just nails the difference.
This one really hits home.
Mm-hmm.
A woman asked her husband to list 6 things she could change to be a better wife.
Danger zone. That is a trap if I ever heard one.
Huge danger zone. And the husband admits, I could easily have listed 6 things. And she could have listed 1,000 for me.
Of course.
But he didn't. He told her, let me think about it and give you an answer in the morning.
Smart man. Bought himself some time.
The next morning, he gets up early, calls a florist, and has 6 red roses sent to her. And the note didn't have a list of complaints. It said, I can't think of 6 things I would like to change. I love you just the way you are.
And when he got home?
She was at the door, tears in her eyes. It completely disarmed the situation. He didn't criticize. He fed that hunger for importance. And that is principle number 2. Give honest and sincere appreciation.
Okay, let's unpack principle 3. This is where we get into actual persuasion. If you want someone to do something, how do you make them do it?
Well, the twist is that you don't make them do anything. That's the whole point. The only way to get someone to do something is to make them want to do it.
Carnegie uses this fishing analogy that I think is perfect.
It is. He says, look, personally, I love strawberries and cream. It's my favorite. But when I go fishing, I don't bait the hook with strawberries.
Right.
I use a worm. Because I'm not trying to feed myself. I'm trying to catch the fish. And fish like worms.
It sounds so obvious when you say it like that, but we violate this constantly.
All the time. We walk into a boss's office and say, I want a raise because I need money. We tell our kids, I want you to eat your spinach. We're baiting the hook with strawberries. We're talking about what we want.
And the fish or the boss or the kid doesn't care what we want.
Exactly. Henry Ford said it best. If there is any one secret of success, it lies in the ability to get the other person's point of view. You have to beat the hook with what they want.
There's a hilarious example of this in the text. Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great philosopher, trying to push a calf into a barn.
It's a classic scene. Emerson is pushing, his son is pulling, they're sweating, frustrated. They're only thinking about what they want. The calf in the barn.
Yeah.
But the calf, it's just stiffening its legs, resisting with all its might.
Because the calf doesn't care about Emerson's timeline.
Exactly. And then the Irish housemaid comes along. She's not a philosopher. She just has common sense. She sees what the calf wants. Food. She puts her finger in the calf's mouth, giving it something to suckle, like its mother, and gently leads it right into the barn.
That is brilliant. And then you have Andrew Carnegie, the uncle, the tycoon, using the same principle on his nephews at Yale.
This is masterful. So his nephews are busy college kids. They never write home. Their mother is frantic. So Carnegie bets $100 he can get a reply by return mail without even asking for one.
What did he do? Threaten to cut them off?
Nope. He wrote them this chatty, friendly letter. And then in the postscript, he casually mentioned he was sending along a $5 bill for each of them.
But he didn't put the money in the envelope.
Forgot to enclose it. And boom, immediate replies. Dear Uncle Andrew, by the way, you forgot the cash. He baited the hook with the one thing they actually cared about.
And there's one more example that I think is so important for parents. The bedwetting story. This wasn't about money or food. It was about pride.
Right. A father was struggling with his young son wetting the bed. Scolding didn't work. Shame didn't work. Those were strawberries. So the father asked, what does the boy want? Well, the boy wanted to be like his dad. He wanted to be a big boy.
So they leveraged that identity?
They took him shopping. They let him pick out his own big boy bed, his own pajamas.
Yeah.
The boy was so proud of his bed, this thing that proved his importance, that he stopped wetting it that night. He got a reputation to live up to.
So principle 3 is arouse in the other person an eager want. Stop talking about what you want and start figuring out what makes them tick.
Exactly. It's not manipulation if you're genuinely trying to help them get what they want too. It's alignment.
All right, let's pivot slightly. We've talked about handling people criticism, appreciation, persuasion. Now let's talk about just being liked. This brings us to part 2 of the book. And Carnegie says the greatest teacher on the subject isn't a human at all.
It's the dog.
I love this. I'm a dog person, so I get it immediately.
Think about it.
Yeah.
The chicken has to lay eggs to survive. The cow gives milk. The canary has to sing. But the dog earns his living simply by giving you love.
Carnegie talks about his childhood dog, Tippy. He says Tippy would just go crazy with joy whenever he saw him. No ulterior motive, just pure, unadulterated excitement.
And because of that, Carnegie loved that dog back. It's reciprocal. The point he's making is about interest. You can make more friends in 2 months by becoming genuinely interested in other people than you can in 2 years by trying to get other people interested in you.
That is the quote of the episode right there.
It's so profound. We spend so much energy trying to be interesting. We curate our social media. We rehearse our stories. But people don't really care about that.
They care about themselves.
The New York Telephone Company did a study. They analyzed 500 phone calls. The most common word used.
Let me guess.
I. Used nearly 4,000 times. I did this, I feel that. We are the center of our own universes.
It's like Alfred Adler said. The individual who is not interested in his fellow man has the greatest difficulties in life.
And causes the greatest injury to others. It's the foundation of social connection. If you want to be welcome anywhere, you have to look outward, not inward. You have to be the dog.
So let's wrap this up. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Let's recap the toolkit we've just built for human engineering.
Let's do it. So we have the 3 fundamental techniques. First, avoid the boomerang. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Remember Lincoln and the letter he never sent.
Second, feed the hunger. People are starving for importance. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Be like Schwab lavish in your praise.
And third, bait the hook with the worm, not the strawberry. Influence others by talking about what they want.
And finally, to be welcome instantly. Be genuinely interested in others.
You know, there's a final thought from the book that ties this all together. Carnegie quotes an old saying, "I shall pass this way but once. Any good, therefore, that I can do, let me do it now. Let me not defer it or neglect it, for I shall not pass this way again."
I love that. It takes it out of the realm of, like, business tactics and makes it a way of life.
Exactly. This isn't about tricking people. People can smell inauthenticity. It's about radically changing your focus from yourself to the people around you.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. It's simple, but it's not easy. For just one day, start tomorrow. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Not once. Bite your tongue if you have to.
And instead, find just one thing to sincerely appreciate in everyone you talk to. Just one day. See what happens.
That's it for this deep dive into how to win friends and influence people. Thanks for listening, and go out there and bait the hook with the right stuff.
Take care, everyone.